have been more than 110 million doses administered in this country. And so far, so good. Now, you may have seen several European countries have suspended use of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which I should note has not yet been approved in the U.S., after reports of blood clots in people who have gotten the vaccine. But AstraZeneca said there have been 37 reports of blood clots out of more than 17 million people vaccinated in the 27-country EU and Britain. In fact, it said the incidence of clots is much lower than would be expected to occur naturally in a general population of this size, and is similar to that of other licensed COVID-19 vaccines. So this issue, which has gotten a lot of attention, and understandably, right, we're all at the front edge of this science here, it's showing up in 0.000002% of cases. All of these vaccines have been subjected to incredibly, if anything, overly cautious review processes. I mean, given the stakes, right? And right now, the U.S. and the U.K. are crushing it. Now, arguably, the most powerful person who doth bestride those two worlds in the English-speaking world is, of course, that man, media mogul Rupert Murdoch. Now, Rupert Murdoch is at a high risk if you were to get COVID because Rupert Murdoch is quite old. So just 2 weeks after the Pfizer vaccine was approved in the UK, The Guardian reported, quote, a convoy of Range Rovers delivered the 89-year-old billionaire to a dedicated vaccine center in Henley, Oxfordshire, where normal hours are understood to have been extended at the last minute. You know, a favor for Rupert. And Rupert Murdoch got the vaccine, put out a nice statement about how great the NHS was. And the reason he did is because the Rupert Murdochs of the world, the wealthy and powerful people, they understand the vaccine is our best shot to protect themselves from severe illness and to bring this virus to heel. And Rupert Murdoch did not want to get COVID because he wanted to make it to 90, which he did last week. Congrats and happy birthday. Rupert Murdoch does not want to die a premature death. But that is not the message the rest of us are getting from the multi-billion-dollar enterprise Rupert Murdoch owns and that has made him so wealthy. Because you see, you are not in Rupert's club. You're not in his social circle. You, viewers out there in TV land, are where they throw out the chum for the common people, where they disingenuously stoke skepticism and fear in the most cowardly way possible by posing as brave truth-tellers in the guise of just flinging nonsense at people and leading to more people getting sick. This has been true throughout the pandemic. There's a nightly drumbeat on Fox News, specifically from Tucker Carlson, that is undermining our best chance to get out from under this disease.
When are we finally going to repeal Corona law? And what about this vaccine? Why are Americans being discouraged from asking simple, straightforward questions about it? Questions like, how effective are these drugs? Are they safe? All of this should prompt some pretty tough questions for our public health experts in this country. And one of those questions is, how effective is this coronavirus vaccine? How necessary is it to take the vaccine? Don't dismiss those questions from anti-vaxxers. Don't kick people off social media for asking them. Answer the questions, especially now.
I mean, those questions were the subject of 2 8-hour-long Zoom meetings publicly televised by the FDA where they went through the data on precisely that question. I watched part of it. These are not hidden. I mean, of course, it is fine. It's understandable to ask questions, and it's fine and understandable to be skeptical. This is all new. No one is saying, get the vaccine or we'll throw you in jail. It is a free country. And Tucker Carlson knows this, obviously. Tucker knows there are really easily accessible answers to these questions about the vaccines. He's not stupid. He just thinks his audience is. And so he feeds into their fears by lying that shadowy people are refusing to answer these legitimate questions that are out there. How effective are the vaccines? Well, we have clinical data, 94%, Johnson Johnson's in the 70s. They're just questions. Can't people ask questions? And this, by the way, is the most cowardly way to do this. I say this as someone with a platform myself, to hide behind a pose of contrarianism because he can't just say it outright. The vaccine will kill you unless he wants to find himself gone, the way of, well, Lou Dobbs. So tell your family and your friends who might be watching something else right now, here is the data that we have. Here's one example, right? Let's look at what is happening in long-term care facilities in this country. These are not clinical trials. This is the actual data. This is what's happening in the U.S. Once people started getting vaccinated in long-term care facilities, cases and deaths started to fall precipitously. Look what is happening in Israel, where a CDC study found mass vaccinations led to drop in severe COVID cases. Johns Hopkins Medicine is a really helpful page where the doctors answer questions like, is the COVID-19 vaccine safe? What are the side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine? And can I get COVID-19 itself from the vaccine? And the answer in every instance is vaccines, as best we know from the data we have, appear to be safe for almost everyone. And again, that's not like the word of God, right? We're all human beings trying to figure this out. It's the overwhelming consensus of scientists based on the data, based on rigorous clinical trials, and now millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of doses of real-world use. That's what we got. Again, it's not perfect. The world is complicated. We all make decisions under uncertainty. But that is what we have. The best evidence we have is that these are safe. They are certainly super effective. And we know how bad COVID is, even though lots of other people spent a whole year lying to people about how bad it was. And that, that's the really hard thing to come face to face with throughout this last year. There's been a lot of errors people have made. There's been good faith errors and there's been bad faith errors. Lots of people in media, public health people, policymakers, Republican and Democrat, right? Lots of people made good faith errors. They just made the wrong call, bad judgments, because it's a bad, terrifying disease and it's new, and they've gotten stuff wrong while trying to do their best to help others. So that's a big category of errors, right? But there has been a force in our life for this pandemic between Donald Trump, who went out of his way to get his vaccine in secret, and Rupert Murdoch's media franchise and a whole ecosystem that have demonstrated nothing but bad faith. Bad faith, fully knowing what they were doing, putting people in danger and getting people sick because they think it will rate. And we still have to deal with this because overcoming this cynical bad faith misinformation is the final hurdle for herd immunity.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.